Hi everyone, I'm back. I want to show you today where Jerusalem probably was in South Africa, in Africa, by the equator. And I'm going to look at maps, a lot of old maps today, just to show you on old maps what they say about this. And they gave it another name on these old maps. And that's why I just want to look at two verses before I go there. Genesis 22 verse 2, and he said, Take now thy son, the only son Isaac, whom thou love, and get you into the land of Moriah, or Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell you of. You see, it's in the land of Moriah. In the Septuagint, it is the land of Amara or Amaria. Remember that, that's important. And 2 Chronicles 3 verse 1. Then Solomon began to build the house of Yahuwah at Jerusalem on Mount Moriah, where Yahuwah appeared unto David his father in the place that David had prepared in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. Remember that the Jebusites, they lived in Jerusalem when David conquered it. So Jerusalem became the property of Yehuda, and it's built on Mount Moriah. You see, we know it as Mount Zion, but it goes by different names. Let's see in the Septuagint this verse. That was, just going to double check, verse 1. And Solomon began to build the house of Yahuwah in Jerusalem in the mount of Amoriah. You see, Amoriah, it could be Amaria, where Yahuwah appeared to his father David. So Amoria. You see why I give that variations, because you have your Amara here, Amara, could be Amaria. But you'll see why this is interesting on these maps. It shows it mostly always on the equator. On these old maps, you see this map is of 1619. And there's a city on the mountain. Here's your river Nile. And a branch of it goes to the west side of the city. So where did we read this? Can you guys remember? I mention it quite often in my videos. Let's go there. Just to show you. The same Hezekiah also stopped the upper water course of the Nile and brought it straight down to the west side of the city of David. So he brought from the Nile River to the west side of the city, Jerusalem. He brought the water from the Nile. Exactly what we see on these maps. On the west side, here from the Nile, he branched off, he dug a tunnel to the west side of the city. Isn't that amazing? And it's on the equator. So let's look at the next one. Here's your Amara, and those are Amara mountains there. You see there goes the Nile next to it, past it. The direction of the river doesn't really matter. With these old maps, they're not very accurate with indicating directions of rivers, and even sometimes the positions of places. They're out by quite a distance sometimes. Not too much, but yeah, I'll say a few centimeters sometimes. Especially if it's these very, very old maps, like the 14, 13, 1500s, 1600s. And here you have a nice one, it's also of the 1500s. Here's your representation, maybe of a temple, but or a city. This is Mount Amar, the river, Monte Diamar. This represents, I believe, the same as what I showed you before, the Amara. It's on the equator. You can see the Naga there, and that branches off here comes to the west side of the city. Again, it keeps showing the same thing, what we read in 2 Chronicles 32, verse 30. I think this is amazing stuff. Here's your other map of 1512, Amara Mountains. Here it is, and now going past it. You have here also again the Amara here on the equator there. And there's the Nile, and the branch of the Nile goes this direction past it. Here again you have your Amara Mountains here. Or rather it shows it here, next to this river. Now I show this because it's believed today that Mountains of the Moon on these old maps talks about the Mount Ruwenzori, the one that I showed you guys yesterday, Mount Ruwenzori with the 7 peaks, the 7 mountains on which the woman sits, of Revelation 17. Remember that? I showed you guys yesterday. It's this one here. There. Ruwenzori. Zoom in so you can see the name. If I want to show the Ruwenzori Mountains. So let's continue with this. Usually on these old maps, these Mountains of the Moon, they show it below Lake Zaire or the Sea of Congo. But now they believe that it is actually on the equator. The Mount Ruwenzori is the Mountains of the Moon, because it's believed that these Mountains of the Moon supplied the Nile River. And of course, Mount Ruwenzori is supplying the Nile River today, the White Nile. But what they don't tell you is that in the past there was fountains of the deep that also come out of the earth in Africa that stopped coming out. It also topped up these rivers like the Nile River. And I'll show you later on what happened when those fountains of the deep stopped around the 1600s. Interesting timing, isn't it? It means it stopped basically just after the Millennial Kingdom stopped. Usually Lake Zaire is supposed to be higher up here. Like I said, on these old maps, they're not very accurate with where stuff is. This is the 1600s. Lake Congo is here by the equator. Anyway, here's your Amara on the equator. At least that's on the right spot. You can see here this river goes past. Again, it shows that it branches off going up to the west of that city, which I believe is Jerusalem. And this is Mount Zion, or as we read, Amaria. Next, the same one there. Oh yeah, I must just make it smaller first, does it? You see the topography of that area by Ruwenzori. Here's Ruwenzori Mountain, you see it there? Let me show you on Google Earth. There it is, Ruwenzori. It's exactly the same thing. You see? There is it, the same thing. I'm just going to make this go out a bit more so you can see what I want to show you. You see these lakes? And I told you in the previous videos, it used to be rivers. It used to be a river, Nile River. The fountains of the deep supplied this river, and it flowed around this mountain, mostly to the west side of this mountain. It went around, and now because of this fountains of the deep stopped around the 1600s, this part of it dried up, and now you have lakes, a few lakes remaining. Let's show you here the topography of that area. You see here, there's just a few lakes remaining. This part of the river dried up there, and this part of the river here dried up because the fountains of the deep stopped. Now on this, and map, the topography, you can see that this river also went to the east side of this mountain, up to at least this point here. So the only way to get to the city here, to the mountain, is through this direction here. On the northeast side of the area, you can go there, except if you have ships. If you have a ship, you can come down and on this side of the mountain. But if you don't have a ship, by foot you had to come down this way. Because you believe me, this is very, very wide. This area here, I measured it before. I maybe can measure it later again, just to give you an idea of how wide that is. Remember, it's the same width as this lake, so let's see here. How wide is this lake? 23 kilometers. There you have it, 23 kilometers. Basically 32,000 meters. That's wide. So yeah, you can't just cross it easily. You need to go over to ships to get to the mountain on the west side. Let's go back to that. And this is important because I'll show you more images of old maps later that shows exactly this. Water going, a river going around this mountain, Mount Zion, or Mount Ruwenzori, where Jerusalem used to be. It goes around it. If it's high waters, maybe it also went over this bit here into the river, that side. But low levels, it would be open this part, and then people can come in, or they maybe have bridges. Must be one hell of a bridge, I think. But I'll show you the other photos. So yes, this is what I want to show you of the topography. It used to be a river going around Ruwenzori, not just lakes there. Yes, now before I go to these ones, here is what I told you about the river going around the west side of the mountain, but also to the east around. This is Zion. There's Zion. Again, Sion. There's a dot there. Sion. Zion. There's again. This is king. They say it has to do with Prester John. If you read this, Prester Giam is Prester John. You can go read up on him. He's an interesting figure in history. Confusing person. What they write about him is quite confusing. It's almost like a try to hide some of what he did or who he is. Okay, again the same image as you've got as your Mount Zion, Zion here with the rivers going around it, the Nile River. Remember, Hezekiah dug a tunnel to the west side of the city from this river. Okay, so let's go back to this images here. You see there. What I like about this map is it shows very clearly that the Nile goes around this mountain. There's a city. You have it branching off to the west side of this city. It's amazing. That's exactly what we read in 2 Chronicles 32 verse 30. Exactly. It's almost like they base this map off of that verse, this part of the map, that they know that it says this in Chronicles, so they draw it on the map. You see there's a river coming down the Nile, and then goes to the west side of the city, a branch of it. And it says, remember in that verse what it says, it stops the water at the upper Gihon. Doesn't it look like the water was blocked up here to form a lake? And from this he dug a tunnel to the west side. Exactly what we read The same Isaac stopped the upper water course of the Nile and brought it straight down to the west side of the city of David. Amazing, it's exactly what we see here on this map. He stopped this water course of the Nile going past here, so it formed a lake here next to the mountain, and from that lake he dug a tunnel to the west side of the city. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up, eh? Yeah, you can see the Nile's flowing. Oops, it's blocked up. Yeah, it forms a lake. He digs a tunnel to the west side of the city, and there the Nile continues up. Here you can see the river Nilus. It is the Nile, it's the Gihon. I'll show you, if you want to know, you'll see the maps of it. I'll show you maps showing that the Nile River is the Gihon River. So what did Hezekiah do? There's Nile going up. He blocked it off, so it formed a lake, and he dug a tunnel to the west of the city, and the rest of it continued out at the top at Egypt. It's basically he built a dam. He built a dam here, and it stopped some of the water. Continuing straight. Indeed, so he could dug a tunnel or whatever to the west side of the city from this dam that he built. They're doing it today, building dams, blocking water flows of the rivers. Just to show you where you can find this map, go look this up. There's the information here, 1598, London. Yes, go look at this map. It's awesome. Yeah, we saw these images before. So there you have it, and isn't this amazing? I think it blew my socks off when I saw this the first time. And so I wanted to show you something else. Where's this in Africa maps? Yes, here we go. Just wanted to show you the Gihon. The Gihon, Fluvius Gihon. Here is Egypt, and the Nile is called the Gihon. This is a 1527 map. There you have your upside down map of Africa, with the north, as we see the north being south and the south being north. And there is Egypto, and there you have your Gihon. The Nile River is called the Gihon. This is a very, very old map, this one. And as you can see, it puts the South Africa north at the top. Reason being, I think, because the water flows down from South Africa down to Egypt. Because South Africa is much higher in elevation than Egypt. Again, here you see your Gihon. Here's your Gihon River. Again, there your Gihon River. There you have your Gihon again. That's the same as the previous map, basically. Again, your Gihon there. Yes, some of them is from the same maps, and I try to make sure you can see the word Gihon. But there you have it. It is also there in the old maps. And you have it in the Flavius Josephus saying the same thing. Just like we see in the old maps, he also says that the Nile is called Gihon. Yes, I think this is very exciting information, showing you this. This is so awesome. And like I said, it is in line with Scripture. It is according to 2 Chronicles 32 verse 30. He built a dam. He stopped the flow of the Nile, so it formed a dam, and he redirected some of that water to the west side of Jerusalem. And that's in Africa, people. Here's the equator line. Here's the equator. That's Mount Ruwenzori. You can see the many peaks there. But anyway, I loved making this video. Yeah, I have a lot of maps showing a lot of biblical people in Africa, like Sarah, the Hebrews, like Maria, Magdala, and Stephen, and Nazareth, and Galilee, and yes, many. A lot of people, and of course places like Ezion Geber. I've got a video on that even. Ayin of Numbers 34, having to do with the territories of Israel. It's on almost all the maps, old maps of Africa. You see Ayin, you see Babylon in Africa, you see Babel where it fell in the sea. It is indicated by the Horn of Africa. You have Yoshinar, that is in the territory of Babel and Babylon. And yes, and even the desert of Seth. Yeah, it just keeps coming, nah? And even Herodes, Herod, he is there just on above Zahir Lake, usually, his name, Herod. And what else was there? Yeah, there's a lot. Agag is there in the maps, and Gog. And not Gog, Agag, yeah, sorry. Let's close this. Yeah, and also Haran, which is the father of Lot, which is the brother of Abram. He is also on some of these maps, Haran. And everything is in Africa, because everything happened in Africa, except when they go to Sinai, which is in Arabia, but the rest of it happened in Africa. And Canaan is in Africa. Okay, enjoy your day. Bye.